Good morning and welcome to one and all present here. I, Ms. Sushma Kindalkar, your host for today. I welcome each and every one for the Sadgun Sang Meet 161 virtual webinar on the topic Wrap Up of 2023 Points to Ponder for ISO in New Year, taken by Ms. Smita Venkatesh. She shall be covering the topics building trust in the global arena, building resilience in this uncertain world, sustainability from pollution to solution, technology, convergence, welcoming AI, innovating for customers, followed by question and answer session. Agenda for today, virtual inauguration by Dr. Sundar Kataria, invoking the blessing of deity, introduction of the speaker, presentation by Ms. Smita Venkatesh, question and answer session. About Sadgun Sang. Sadgun Sang, conceived and led by Dr. Sundar Kataria, driven with a mission to elevate the quality, safety, and environmental awareness levels of industry. Sadgun Sang is a series of educative, informative events aiming to illuminate professionals on possible solutions to current issues of industry and economy. Brief introduction of Dr. Sundar Kataria. He is a chairman and managing director at International Certification Services Private Limited, mechanical engineer, AMIE, honorary doctorate into business management. Experience is into nuclear RAPP. He started his career in building India's first nuclear power plant at Rawat Bada in Kota, Rajasthan. Oil and gas EIL. He contributed in developing India's first oil and gas field at Bombay High since its inception. DNV. He was the head of industry and offshore development with DNV for 2 decades. ICS. He is a founder of first Indian conformity assessment and inspection body known as International Certification Services Private Limited, which is a provider of total quality solution under single umbrella with a wide spectrum of services. He has achieved a lifetime award of NACE Corcon, received several national and international awards. So I request you to virtually inaugurate today's session.
शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
Please join us for the recitation of Gayatri Mantra. Introduction of today's keynote speaker, Ms. Smita Venkatesh. She is a management consultant, auditor and trainer, done BE in electronics, PG course in cyber law, masters in business law, NLSIU, Environmental Management course from IISc. Area of specialization and experience into Posh Consultant and IP External Member, Life Member for Quality Circle Forum of India, Resource Person and Trustee at Institute for Media Studies and Research, IMSR Bangalore. Member for Institutional Ethics Committee for Clinical Drug Trades. Ma'am, I welcome you and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sushma. And a very warm good morning to all present today. I'm thankful to ICS for having given me an opportunity to close the new year, the old year, and welcome the new year with this wrap-up round. And I think all of us would have had a wonderful journey this year. And this year has been a very eventful year, not only for all of us, maybe also for individually also, right? So I'm just sharing my screen. As literally the last day comes, we would like to take stock of what all did we do? Did we really do something at all? And how do we measure ourselves, right? So when we come to the professional front, this is when when Vaibhav called me and asked me, I said the only topic which comes to mind is how do we wrap up this year and understand what we did professionally as practitioners of these international standards, right? So I'm just taking a journey with all of you, and it's not a very elaborate one, because we know that the standard itself is a very, very big arena out there, right? And it tries to satisfy so many things, and at every phase. So, and a very dynamic one. So I'm just covering the highlights here. The screen is visible to all of you, right? On the slide show mode.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how was the 2023? So keeping aside our own personal, wrap up, let's see what the world looked like. Major part of the world, I think India did not experience this much. Industry-wise, yes, a hiccup here and there, but there was a global recession, right? Just after the COVID, and the recession has been very bad. And means sitting in India, I think we would not be understanding this so much as such. But when people have been traveling to Europe, with the war also going on there, and there was a stark difference between what the Europe was maybe before COVID and what it is today, right? So there is a vast difference in the status of people out there. There's a lot of unemployment, a lot of homelessness, right? And for the first time, one of the person who just returned last week from Germany was saying that the trains are running late. In the sense, I have been there. I stayed in Germany for 4 years, and that was one thing, trains never were late. And if they were late, every passenger who would have taken the ticket would be compensated, right? For that period for which the time was late. I still remember that when the train was stopped because of a very minor accident, all the passengers got 25 euro, check when they reached home. So this was a Europe I had seen, and the Europe is really in trouble, right? And we saw a lot of things happening in the space also. Rather, the space race has heated up. We have everybody there, not only the good old agencies who have been working, and we have a lot of private parties who have entered the arena of space, right? Elon Musk sending his shuttle, and then so many others. So as you know, maybe if you had taken 150 years back, the saying was go to West. I think now it is go to heavens. And India is not far behind. We became the fourth nation to have successfully landed on that part of the moon where nobody has yet landed. So that was something very good. And of course, India has one more feather. We have surpassed the population of China, right? And become the most populous country. So, what is there in store for us? Plenty, plenty of potential and plenty of youth energy is concentrated here now. This is the epicenter. And I think every nation is looking towards us uh, eagerly as to what it is. And we have also gained a lot of footage in the international when it comes to decision making. India has made its presence known, right? But as a famous poet said, Robert Frost, miles to go before we sleep, right? And then we have the war going on in the background. I think this is a constant one which has been happening. But the only thing is that the war in Azerbaijan was thought to have been silent, but Armenia lost itself. And of course, the war in Sudan has been a little difficult for the maritimers, right? And then, of course, the US-China is simmering as usual. Then came the very, very fantastic, I would say a very interesting phase of AI, the entry of the chat GPT, right? I think most of us would have had an experience of what this chat GPT is, and they would have tried to use it also, right? How does it uh, go about? This is a vast field and something which I think a lot of innovation is going on in this particular area as such. And to be very frank, every engineering seat which was booked or taken by the eager UGs this year, I have heard, has been for AI, right? CS combined with AI. Yes, let's see where they take us to. And then, of course, we have the great Ukraine war, which has unsettled the Europe very much, right? And it did surprise us in the industries also, as Ukraine had a monopoly over so many things, right? So many supplies, industrial supplies. And but the world has recovered. That means nothing stops for anybody, right? It goes on. Then very recently, we had the great Hamas attack on Israel, which it again has unsettled the maritimers in the Red Sea, Mediterranean Sea also, which has been having an effect on the industries, the exports and the imports, right? And then, of course, something which is going to be with us, and we need to be very thoughtful about this whole thing and have to stop somewhere and start afresh of how to be being. That is the global temperature shattered records. And even today, I don't think we in Bangalore are yet to see the cold what we would see usually in every winter, right? We are yet to take out our warm clothing. And we see that, yes, that wet bulb temperature is what it has been, the phenomena has been called as. That means we have a high temperature combined with very high humidity, and it has the potential to kill. Literally speaking, we have experienced it in this, what you say, a very pleasant weather like Bangalore. We have seen this in the summer when it is too hot and it is too humid. Bangalore was never humid. Humid is only for the coastal areas, for the Mumbaikars, right? Okay. So this has been how the world was in 2023. And in many cases, I think none of this has cooled down. Everything is something. All these things which actually made their presence felt in 2023 are going to be with us as we step on to 2024, right? All of them. So let's see where we stand for. Like we in this fraternity of working with the global standards, how is it and what is it expected out of it, right? These are some of the highlights what I have picked up, which was discussed in the recently, that is the November concluded Australian annual meeting of the ISO, right? ISO annual meeting, which was held in okay, okay. Yeah, Anand sir says that he was surprised to see the name of Azerbaijan and he is watching something something from Baku. Okay, yes, sir. Yes. So what was expected out of the standards is, because standards is something what we all know. It's a thin line between the the market, the industry, and the policymakers, the government, right? The governance as such for every country. But when we talk about a global arena, and our standards also are global in nature, that means globally it's the same standards. Here, what happens here is now there is a very fine line between the international communities whom the standard represents and also the governments of each of these countries, right? So typically, when we talk about the global arena, the standards, the expectation of a standard more is creating a more equitable and a trustworthy future for the international community. And when we are talking about the international community, it is between the nations, between the industries, right? The multinationals, the exports, imports, for them to be smooth. Because we know that today that most when we are talking about importing also, we are talking about in India about value addition. Whatever we are buying will not be in the absolute, but we would be doing a lot of value addition to it. And that is a thrust area also to make India a self-reliant, right? So when we talk about this and when countries are trying to offload, yes, countries, the developed countries are looking forward for a different kind of a partner. Because most of them would have been very, very comfortable and they would have thrived under the current partnership, what they have with our friendly neighbor. But as we see that we also have a great potential in most of the areas, and especially when it comes to the human resource, right, and technology. So there comes the now the standards organizations or certifying bodies or all these people will be entrusted with an extra thrust on us as being part of that organizations, where we have to be impartial third party, right? Lot of things will depend on our own recommendations, I would say, right? So our practices will have to be refined and we will have to look at it not at the playing at a domestic part, rather at the international, as an international party itself. And more thrust has to be given. We know that we have surpassed China being the most populous. And wherever we talk about reducing human-to-human interaction comes, automatically the thought goes off that, oh, we cannot replace people here. People are very much important, and engaging the people for the right job and rightfully is more important for the health of the country. Yes, agreed, right? But now, when we talk about reducing human-to-human interaction and take up technology, we have seen it. We have seen it that India has shown to the whole world how India has very comfortably, in spite of having the largest unlettered population in the country, we have shown to the world that we are very good, right? When it comes to digital financing or the digitization of the financial platform itself, I don't think, because I see everywhere I go there is no option of handing out cash. Everywhere they have the QR code, the Paytm will be there, and you just have to do the online payment, right? So it is understood by everybody, including the unlettered. That is a fantastic what we have achieved. That means that we can achieve it in other fields also. That means to say that trust has to be given to that phase where we have to upskill or skill our population, right? So a lot of emphasis on occasional and skill development and education as such, right? And building a very standalone system, because we have seen that digitization is one way to combat corruption, right? Everything is transparent out there. In that particular cloud, you lose nothing, right? Everything is stored there very safely. The complete footprint, the technology footprint can be found out from where it came and where it ended, what happened in between, everything. So creating a standalone system is much easier when we talk about digitization. Rather, instead of talking about getting rid of human interaction, rather we should say that we should replace the human interaction in a different way, right? Human to human interaction will be now transited towards human to technology interaction, right? We will have to upskill in that particular phase. And also, as a third party, when we are looking at it, then we will have to upskill ourselves as to see where the value addition goes, right? And how we can recommend, how we can be of value addition to the customer when we suggest, especially the MSMEs. Coming to the third one, the most important of it all is a meaningful international collaboration and engagement against corruption. Yes, corruption is something which will directly hit on the quality, and quality is supreme to us all. We, the practitioners of these standards, for us, quality is the heart of it, and that is all we understand, right? So anything, be it environment, be it the information security, or be it the occupational health and safety, ultimately it hits the quality, and the quality is what matters if we have to be in the race in the world, right? So for a healthier society, we need to achieve. So I have seen as professionally that many of the organizations, most of the customers are demanding that the suppliers get themselves assessed for ISO 26000. That is the corporate social responsibility, right? That means that we need to not only say it that we are against any unethical or corrupt way of doing things, right? We are very just, we are very, we believe in all that, what we say in our preamble, but also practice it, right? So I think these are the thrust areas where we will have to emphasize ourselves on when we want to build the trust, because today it is a global player. We see that most of the customers never visit their suppliers, right? So we are talking about those customers who are elsewhere, that is across the globe. They don't get a chance, or they don't feel like doing it. They feel that means they have that trust and confidence in the third party, which has already recommended the health of that particular supplier, right? So standards now, as all of us will be partnering not only for trust and confidence, rather directly partnering against corruption. So coming to the second one, we saw that most of the incidents, what has been happening is making us more uncertain, right? Whatever data you have, how much ever predictions you do, forecasting you do, but still there is something, there is googlies out there, right, which are going to surprise us and sometimes even shock us. So we need to build a resilient organizations or platforms, and to face these uncertainties, because these uncertainties are going to only increase day by day as we have already crossed or broken the boundaries, environmental boundaries, and we have already surpassed the 2 degrees centigrade, what you say, rise in temperature. That means now we are dealing with something totally different. There is no question of the monsoon cycle or, the winter cycle or this and that. There could be a lot of uncertainties out there. So that means the complete food cycle, as well as a human tendencies, human psychology, a lot of things are going to become uncertain now. And these standards would, as very well put up by one of the chief resilience officers for the city of Sydney in Australia in the annual meeting of ISO, she says very clearly as to standards provide a roadmap and a structure for how we build resilience. So they are the platform. They bring in certainty, right? That means we will have to be more data oriented. We will have to collect data on a every second basis, right? With hundreds of organizations, we are talking about the urban system here. That is, urban system is the one which houses all the industries, right? So we need to have a common platform out here, a common language. Standards will be speaking the common language. I think that is what it is of, right? The standards are common for any type of organizations, any group of people coming together to give anything to this world. So they are going to be more sought after by everybody. And then we also have that it's going to become one of the indispensable tools as such, offering a very clear vision of issues, objectives, and priorities, right? So one of the standards, what comes to the mind is ISO 22301, which not only talks about business continuity management system, it talks about societal security, right? That's how we understand this particular standard itself. Because this standard, which is called business continuity management system, when we talk about business and we talk about business continuity, in the rule of law, or when we talk about a business which wants to shut down, right, because of its failure, it has its own reasons, of course. So here comes the question of continuity, because we say that in the legal jargon, an organization or a business never dies. And business continuity, yet again, is the tagline of our standards, right? When the standard, when we implement a standard and when we audit a standard, we audit it with the only motto of business continuity. We see to it that all that the activities, the processes which add value to the organization, which in turn enhances or strengthens business continuity for it, is what we are looking forward to, right? And when we talk about business security or business continuity, it automatically talks about employment or constancy in a person's life, right? What it brings, the bread and butter, of course. And then it talks about an ISO policy toolkit, right? The standards are going to be a toolkit, and a very beautiful, this thing is a free download is available on this ISO policy toolkit on the ISO website, which I think all of us can download and have a look at it, how it gives a beautiful framework and guideline, how the international standards can support the policymakers. That means we are going to be that fine line connecting the standards, the requirements of the business community, the business community, global business community. Okay, not the domestic one, it's a global business community with the policymakers of that particular country or the member country, right? So it talks about, especially it gives emphasizes on the technical regulations, which we have to be very strong at. When we are supplying it across the countries, across boundaries, then technical regulations is very important. Understanding the technical regulations, not only of the land, for domestic, for export, we need to understand the technical regulations of each other countries, right? Destination countries also. So this is what we talk about when we are talking about the whole, the resilience part of the international standards. So yes, of course, we have a very pressing kind of a issue. What is troubling us? That is sustainability, being sustainable, because we know that we do not know to be sustainable. We are still in the economy of use and throw, right? So that is what our whole the outlook should change. And the way we do the planning, the business planning, the industrial planning, everything or the policy making itself has to change now as to uh, moving towards solutions rather than the throwing as or scrapping or handling it as waste as a solution, right? So because that is what is causing us major pollution as of now. So here at again a technical committee has been formulated by ISO, which is TC 323 for circular economy. So circular economy is going to be the norm of the day. That means we have already seen it by the implementation of the extended producer responsibility for e-waste, battery, and the plastics, right? Plastic packaging as such, which has been strengthened in India by the respective regulations, that the circular economy will be the norm. That means every organization now will not only see till now when it came to ISO 14001, we were talking about segregating the waste. Correct. We are still in the very nascent stage where we want to identify what type of waste it is. Next was that take accountability, like how much are you generating, right? And then after that, try to find out solutions as to can this be reduced, and come to the point where you can implement a self reduction policy. How do I bring down these different wastes which I have already identified? But now there is no time to do any of those. You will have to do a big long high jump all combined together, and then now you will have to come up with solutions as such. How? Because very soon, I think in the coming year, 24-25, the EPR for plastic packaging very clearly says that you have to start showing percentage of your raw material is from the recycled plastic waste, what you have generated, right? What you have generated. So now the whole scenario is going to change. The way you are thinking has to be changed. And please, as a technology is taking great leaps on an everyday basis, we also need to do that at the policy level for the organizations also. So what are we talking about? We are talking about eco-design standards, right? So here completely about not only about the raw material, it is about the energy also and all the other resources what we encounter during the complete design and development and the mass production phase. We will have to come up with that particular analysis and a number, right? So that we can use the same to make our designs eco-friendly. And then what more? We need to put in principles in place. So principles would be the commitment by the organization, that is the top management onwards, percolating down as to we know that we do all this, right? We take we take stock of our emissions, the pollution, what we are creating from our processes. We know that as industries, but how many of them do it for the sake of doing it as an individual, as a practitioner? How many of us do it? We do it because there is somebody there policing you, right? And even that police is not a complete police. We know that. So when this has to be taken up as a principle, because we are talking about not only the industry or a business we are talking about where we would have invested, we are talking about the future for us, for our children, right? So here comes setting up principles. That means my organizational culture has to change, how I'm going to deal with it, right? So that means to say that when we are practicing, and we know that as per the compliances also, when an organizations go for certification for only quality, not much emphasis is given on health and safety, right? Very, very little is given. And we just look into the what kind of a PPE they are wearing, And maybe we will look into some kind of a very not very very strong emergency preparedness. We know that. We know that. But we need to bring all this because at the heart of it is business continuity and the quality, which can affect it directly. We know that, right? So waste material produced during the production process or recycling also, now they will have to, as I already mentioned, that EPR is already stressing on it. It has not come to your raw material of every kind. There is somebody who is unmuted. Whoever it is, could you please mute yourself? Right? Shushma, I think you can take care of that. Yeah, thank you. So the waste materials produced now, they will have to show a part of it which has to be recycled, right? How they can reuse it. Organizations have already been doing it because it again, there is something called, here we will be talking about some terminology, just like whitewashing, right? Just before, any, we see that just before the audits, the certification audit or a surveillance audit, we see that the industry would have given a nice whitewash. They would have painted the gangways, and they would have removed the cobwebs, and they would have given a whitewash, right? Similarly, there is something called a greenwash, what is happening in the environmental sector, that organizations are trying to show that we have eco-friendly, kind of way doing work, eco packaging and all that, is those terminologies or, trendy phrases are showing up. But now the countries are very serious after the COP28, right? They all have, even though we as India has not committed to it, but still we are committed by COP27 and other decisions what we have been part of, signatory to it, that we will be taking stock of all these different ways and all the carbon emitting or the anything which is going to cause the greenhouse gas emission, right? So we will have to bring out now organizations and even the standards organization, that certifying bodies, all of them are now giving lot of training programs, awareness programs on the carbon emission, right? The 14030 series, what we have, 14064 and so on, whatever series we have, where we talk about understanding the different scopes and identifying the carbon emissions. So this also will be part of it, where you will have to show. That means if your customer happens to be an MNC, an outsider, then there is no surprise that they will be asking for what is the waste recycling or reusing methodology or policy of the organization. And then we have the design requirements itself. That is, we are talking about not only, we know these jargons, we have already been dealing with it: product durability, reusability, upgradability, repairability, and recyclability are two things which we will have to address. India as an economy, we have already, we have a culture where we do not just throw things away, right? Until it doesn't give up. And the engineer, whoever, service engineer says that nothing can be done, correct? So whereas this repairability and recyclability is a big thing, repairability, especially when it comes to, let us take the example of the Apple products, right? Apple products now, of course, their policies have changed and they are trying to do a lot of things, extending the life of the product itself. Whereas if you go to the West, then the mindset is the same. Come New Year or approaching New Year, there is a famous thing which is called the Black Friday. What happens, right? People just they go and buy. And when they want to gift also, all the new upgraded gadgets are released during the Christmas and the New Year period, correct? That means time to throw the old one and buy a new one or gift a new one. So this, of course, is not so prevalent in our country. So we are blessed in that way. But still, the consumerism has caught up with us also, correct? because our affordability also has increased. So we had to bring back all these things. Now, when it comes to the designs, then a major focus on design requirements would be on the life of the product, not without repairs, but between repairs. Correct? All that will have to be taken care of in the design requirements. So now the standards have been formulated, and I think shortly in 2024 we will have a circular economy standard also. And these standards, of course, help us in understanding, how we can bring in the circular economy. Correct? Currently, the way we see or how we audit these standards for environmental management or energy management, I think we will have to extend it to all these requirements, principal requirements. Conformity assessment also is there, right, as a tool where we check if the specifications are met to the point. Both of them are going to drive the point as to bring in the trust and the confidence to the market. When we talk about the market, it is the international market, what we are talking about. Yes, of course, as we already talked about ChatGPT, it is the AI there. And I think AI has already conquered us, and we have a lot of, fakes going on in the social media also. And we will see more of that. And here comes up the question of ethics. AI, the major question is ethics, because it is going to fake it, that until you think that it is real, right? It looks damn real. So how are we going to tackle it? Already the ISO is in place for artificial intelligence management system. And this is ISO 42001, 2023. So this is what makes me very happy when I talk about this particular, what do you say, the platform called Global Standards, International Standards. They are always ahead. Before it breaks, it's like carrying an umbrella or a shawl or whatever, before prediction, that I am prepared. So the standards is already out for this particular thing. How to tackle it? That means we have a lot of startups out here. AI arena has a lot of startups, and that is a problem. Startups are somebody who come very late to the standards. They come to the standards only when they are pushed to it. Rather, I would say that it's investors who are pushing them towards it. Because when investors start asking for so many things, they go for it. Or if there is a mandatory requirement, compliance, that you have to be certified for the quality management standards, then they get certified. Now, but still, they don't have that value what should be given to the standard when they are implementing it. It is just a certificate for them, because they have to show it elsewhere to get the license or the approval or the consent, right? So when it comes there, the major aspect what we have here is the question of ethical consideration. We need to know what is it. This is very simple. A simple example I encountered, and you all might have encountered, is during the COVID, we started with this virtual webinars, right? And a lot of things started happening on the virtual media. And one of the most affected, sector was the education sector. And in the education sector, they thought that now we will have to, all the things include not only teaching the students happened online, even faculty development programs started happening on the online basis, right? And a lot of people, they started coming out with webinars and all these development programs and all this, right? And they used to publicize it. And they used to give the registration over a Google form. And when they gave the registration over a Google form, the fields were very clearly there. Email ID was there, phone number was there, name was there, right? Name, phone number, and email ID, that all constitutes individual personal information. Correct? Sensitive information, means to say it is sensitive information. Now, when you're handling sensitive information of a person, individual, then your responsibility is to safeguard that information. The understanding was so poor that in one case, there was a faculty development program, and I was asked to do some kind of a module for them. And I said, how are you going to publicize this? The immediate answer by that particular institution was that, there are many platforms which are conducting these webinars, and they have this they have the details, they collect all the details on the Google form. We will pay them 500 rupees. They are going to share all the details. And then we will send all our brochures or posters to all those people whom we have bought for 500 rupees. This is the awareness of information, personal information security I have when I'm giving it over the Google form, and you have when you are collecting it, correct? So there comes ethical considerations, right? I don't have a right to do anything with that information. And then Google, you had to give a declaration in Google, right? Google form then started putting up that the privacy concept came into being. That is the same time when GDPR also came into being. So these are certain things which should be understood by the AI now, AI, innovators or startups, right? Transparency and continuous learning, because AI is going to be a continuous learning. It is about understanding the data. It starts this minute and it goes on and on and on, right? So here comes the ethical question. And also, they have to have a structured way of understanding the risks in that particular arena and opportunities, and start balancing out with the governance part, that is the internal governance of the organization. Who should be given the access when they are collecting this data and using this data to create much matured technology models in AI? Then what should be the security aspects they have to take care of, right? This becomes very important when we are talking about AI. So we have already many standards in place put by ISO. We have something called ISO IEC 22989, which talks about all the jargons, vocabulary, AI terminology. And then we have one more, which is 23053, which talks about AI and machine learning, because they both go hand in hand, right? So now comes, how am I understanding this in my design framework, right? And then we have the standards 23894, which talks about AI-related risk management. Isn't our standards, I believe that they don't sleep at all. When we see the kind of standards which are coming out, it shows that the standards body doesn't sleep. Yes, apart from this, we have something else also which is happening. When we are talking about technology, technology is for whom? For us, right? For people. So then comes the organizational convergence, which is happening in a different way here, right? Inclusiveness and diversity is what we. So already we have a standard which talks about the human resource management system. The salient points, what it is trying to talk about is diversity and inclusiveness. That is 30415, a comprehensive standard which is designed to guide organizations on their journey towards implementing the diverse and inclusive workspace into their governance. So we are talking about two things here when we talk about convergence, because we cannot isolate people, right? We have already seen in COVID what isolation can do. Going online and going virtual, what is the impact of it? We are still trying to fathom about the whole uncertainty it poses to all of us. So then we have also seen during these time how the inclusiveness has improved in the global arena, right? So now in our own law, we have he, she, and others included. So we have a lot of workspaces where openly they are recruiting everybody. So, and it is not only that, here we talk about differently abled people also, right? Giving scope for them also to be part of this development. And then comes, I would not call it the last, because the whole standard actually came into being keeping customer in mind, right? It was for the customer. Quality is nothing but what the customer says, right? Subjected to customers. So when we are talking about customer, and it is solely on us, we, the people, fraternity who are auditing for the customer. How am I going to do that? We are doing it for a customer of the supplier, but that supplier becomes our customer, right? He becomes our customer. How we are going to be innovative to this particular customer for us, right? So we need to be more customer centric approaches. And when we talk about the being customer centric, then we are not only talking about means giving an insight to these people whom we are auditing, the organizations. We are also going to tell them about the requirements of the global customers, right? What it looks like. See, these are global standards which we are implementing in the domestic arena, right? But it is still the global customer. Then we have an active way of seeking customer feedback. And customer feedback has to be agile and it should be simple. We have to change as per Gen Z now. We cannot go by that big, what you say, 20 to 30 questionnaires and you ask the customer to tick. No, I don't think so. Because we are now talking about a customer who is Generation Z, right? So who are these people? These people, we have them in our houses, of course, digitally native people who are very impatient, sorry to say, right? Because they think they know everything already. So come to the point. We cannot beat the bush around them. So we need to structure our feedback also from means because they are the customers for us. We will have to tweak our customers' feedback as per the requirement of them, so that we get the right data and we can align it to our business. Correct? We are also a business. Anything we do for sustenance or when we provide services, we charge them. So why should we hesitate not calling ourselves as businesses? And for this, we need to, as I said, graduate ourselves and bring in a lot of, different forms, digital models, right? Digital models that would be more appropriate to the requirement also. And we may get the right and the most honest feedback also from this section or the Gen Z customers what we have. And we also should try out new approaches and in our own way of auditing to bring in innovations so that we enhance the customer experience. Correct? We need to also innovate is the underlining, tagline, I would say. We need to innovate because we know that standards gives us that freedom. It doesn't say that 2015 onwards, the standard has been very, very, what you say, democratic, isn't it? So it is very democratic and it says that do it, but bring out, make sure that it is a value addition to the customer, correct? So when we talk about the customer and we talk about the business continuity, we need to remember that environment, health and safety, energy conservation, information security, what not is there, everything becomes risk management, right? Social responsibility, everything becomes important for business continuity, correct? So we need to comprehensively take all this and understand and then audit. So I think that is where I think our recommendations will be more than finding non-conformances, isn't it? As of now, we are doing it. We are doing it in a big way where we try to find value addition to the organization rather than finding faults. Yes, it is not there on our dictionary. Fault finding is not it. It's the fact finding, right? So as a legendary Jobs said, we have got to start with the customer experience, right? We need to know because when we are talking about customer experience, I go back, the current customers, majority of them would be startups, And who is the startup? It's the Gen Z, right? We need to rope in for the goodness of the country, because we know that there is another word which goes synonym with startups. It is called startup bubble, right? We don't want them to be bubble. We want them to grow into businesses, industries, what we already have, right? The huge, great industries, what this country is so proud to have, which has built the economy of this nation. Then I think we need to also impart it to these Gen Z customers of us. And for that, we need to think out of the box, right? We need to think out of the box. And all of us have digital natives at home. It is not difficult at all. Just spend more time with them, right? They will tell you what is the requirement. Now coming to the let's celebrate the kind of certifications and the number of certifications the world has seen this year, right? This year we start with of course, yes, China. China is China for its own reasons, right? That's why it's very, very difficult when we talk about competing with China. China has again comes out on top, just like the Olympic medals, right? So these are the ISO medals. So China is yet again on top with the closing of 2023. It has issued 5,51,855 certificates, right? Number of certificates. And the next country, this is for 9001, ISO 9001. And Italy happens to be the next country. Smallest when you compare China, the supplier to the world, China, the big nation, right? Having so many time zones, right? Whereas Italy, being a tiny nation in the European Union, is competing with it, right? In the next place. Then we have India, very proud that we are on the third spot here. And we have issued the third maximum number of 61,653 number of certificates in ISO 9001, right? Then we have the other countries. And yeah, we have Japan also, United Kingdom also. We have so many other countries out here. So we have 3 projections out here to understand, right? That's what we do. Trend analysis is the heart of understanding any analysis or coming to a forecasting. That's what is done here. 2020, 21, and 2023 we have done. Right. And now let's see the other 2 standards. Very important standards for today. I have picked up EMS and ISMS because this is the standard which are very, very important to all of us. So here we have, yet again, we have China on spot 1, right? In both ISMS as well as in EMS. In the second place in EMS, we have Japan. This shows the complete, the outlook of the nation itself, country, Japanese itself. And then we have Italy and Germany. UK is the other one, which where the EMS standard actually took its birth. The EMS and the ISMS standard both are the gifts from the British Standards Organization, right? BSI. So UK also is in the forefront when it comes to the certifications of these 2 standards. And let's see India. India is not far behind. We have also done very well, but we just do not want it to be a greenwash, right? All these countries are yet again very, very particular that they are now taking stock of all these companies or whoever has been certified for EMS. Now that it is not just a greenwash on paper, right? It's not on green paper, rather, the numbers of being efficiently implementing the environment management system. And yes, coming to ISMS, India being one of the forerunners for technology, then and also the startups, we need to bug up on ISMS. So that will be the thrust area, 2 areas, because we do not want to make a mess of ourselves when it comes to environment, right? We need to understand that we are still an agri-based nation, right? And if agriculture goes haywire, and the time comes when we have to import grains. Nothing like that. We will not be able to feed this 1.43 billion people. Correct? It will be very difficult for us. So we have to keep that in mind. For that, we need to take care of EMS very strictly. When it comes to EMS, we know that we as auditors or as a certifying body, we need to take it to very seriously as to how it has been implemented, how effectively waste management, pollution are taken care of, right? And then comes information security, which is very, very important. We know that, right? So these were some of the the good things about the standards and the number of certifications and the way ahead. Yes, this is something which I keep forgetting. The World Standards Day is celebrated on 14th of October. So, hoping that we will have a grand festival on that day, because I have been with this. I started my journey as an engineer, I think, as a practitioner of these standards, and I still continue. And I hope to, of course, people who are practicing in this, we all know, and we have a great beacon here called Dr. Sundar Kataria, that we never retire, isn't it? So this is it. Thank you very much once again for giving this opportunity to share a little insight into the journey of the standards, the past, this year, that is 2023. We are still here in 2023. We still have a few more hours, to go to say bye to 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I would request everyone, if anyone has any questions, can put the questions in the chat box.
I think the questions would be for all of us, rather, because what I spoke about was in a very generic way, isn't it? So I think most of you might have known about what I said also, but it was just rehashing and feeling good that as a fraternity, we have done a great job, and we have a great job ahead of us also. Yes, we would love to hear from Sundar sir. Sumit sir, Sundar sir, please.
Well, one minute. Yeah, very good afternoon. Are we able to? इसको बंद. Okay, very good afternoon. It's very nice, and with such a short time, you could touch upon very important topics like the resilience and business continuity, business sustainability, because throughout the world, everybody's talking. And my two basic questions are there. How this war is going to affect the environment. We have seen in Russia, war has been going so long. Now this we have Israel again is going on, and how is going to affect. Plus another thing which is still we are not focusing the occupational health and safety, because if you see the fatality which is taking place, especially in India, is very alarming. Accidents and casualties which are taking place, very, very alarming. So can you please put little focus on these two? Thank you very much. And it was really eye-opener. We have so many ISO standards available,
Yes.
which are really beneficial to the corporate sectors. I think they should come forward to adopt these standards. Is very much. Though these standards are available quite long time, almost 2018, a number of new standard came up. but people are a little shy to embrace these standards. What is the reason? Thank you very much. I really enjoyed. Good.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, sir. This occupational health and safety is something, like that's a very disheartening thing that day in, day out, we see that. We see that very simple things like wearing the earplugs, and some of the audits, what I have been doing, and I have seen that means from past 6 to 7 years when we are continuously doing on a yearly basis the same organization. I have observed that there has been hearing impairment, right? After 10 years, and it doesn't happen suddenly. These things doesn't happen suddenly. When it comes to health, the injury to health happens over a period of time. It takes a decade for them, and then by then it is irreparable. So I think somewhere we need to be very, very careful, and we have to enforce it in a very strict way. We have to enforce it, that the health and safety concepts are, and I think it should come from the management. Management only will have to drive it. Otherwise, it is very difficult, because that people might not be aware what is the repercussions of handling unsafe things, right, sir? And also, I think compliances has to means I don't think it can happen in one way. It should happen in many ways. Means in all directions it has to happen. There are many stakeholders out here. There are many regulatory bodies or everybody out here who need to come up with this particular hand holding. Like if there is pollution control board which is collecting data on the emissions, right? They do it on a regular basis. That is their job. Now, do they communicate it to the industries? How many awareness programs do they conduct, right? And another one is the health sector. How many of the health sector are trying to give this data to the public, right? Publish this data. That is, okay, we are getting these many cases from the industries, and this is a common ailment we see, right, sir? I think here again, media comes into picture, newspapers, because they are the best medium how we can communicate it to the general public, isn't it? So only very recently, that is, I was listening to one of the panel discussion from Azim Premji University, which was happening on, which was centered around Dr. Ramchandra Guha, and he being an environmental, historian. So he was trying to give a list of those people who were so effective in bringing to the notice of the common people, right? We have Keswani, who was one of the local Bhopal journalists who repeatedly talked about Bhopal gas tragedy before it happened, right? He was warning about the safety things which were going wrong in Union Carbide, 2 years before the accident happened. He had been publishing articles that, the safety norms in Union Carbide have not been followed. So like this, I think every one of us will have to get together. And only then I think a consciousness of health or safety or environmental sustainability can come, is my take, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was really, I do agree, but I think we should not leave everything on government.
Absolutely,
We,
sir.
as a
Absolutely. Yes.
organization, we have more responsibility.
Yes.
Like this, I remember we started this journey for safety, environment, and quality at Alan, which took a year, almost 25, 30 years. Now it has come to really good shape, and people are aware and they have improved. If you see today in Bangladesh, we have still very, unfortunately. A similar case, what Mr. Goa told, I also remember in one of the country, I don't know the name, I had opportunity to do audit. They were very large stockists. And when we looked into it, it was a ISO. But when we looked into the safety, it was compromised in many ways. They were making electronic equipment, rather they were doing the CKD, assembling the electric equipment. But you could see the spark was coming while assembling. And that was the technology also came from a well-known Korean company. But I told them, please look into it. Even the stock yard where they had lot of inventory was there, crores of rupees inventory. And I warned them. And unfortunately, within 6 months, I got the news entire factory was under fire, and they lost a lot of money. Back to Sushma, please.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone else?
So Anand sir has
Anand sir has raised
yes.
his hand. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you for this wonderful session. Really given some areas where you have just given a thought process where we can look into in the coming new year. Thank you for that. See, as far as me concerned, I'm currently located in Azerbaijan, the capital city, Baku. I'm working with an oil and gas company. And that's why I raised.
Absolutely, I know.
The war took place in 2020 between the
Yes.
two countries.
Yes.
But in this year, 23, there was some small conflict which was resolved immediately. So that's the reason.
Yes, the big brother is there, isn't it? There is a big brother there who comes for ceasefire all the time. Yes.
Correct. See, as far as me is concerned, see, this new year, the challenging is how we can reduce the greenhouse gas effect emissions. That sort of things are now getting eye-catching importance in many good tenders. Hello.
I think some technical issue at
Yeah.
hand. Yeah.
I think that there was a network issue. Can I continue?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the challenges what for me as far as me concerned is that now the greenhouse gas emission, which is one of the prime area where all the organization across the globe is looking forward, and every major tendering activities, this is one of the area where one has to show how we can reduce your greenhouse gas emission, whatever may be the smallest the organization. Then the second is the diversity and inclusion. This is one of the other thing which has been asked by almost all the organization to look into how we are committed to have this diversity and inclusion within the organizations. So these are the two areas where I am looking forward in 2024, the challenges, and one has to look into how we can do an effective way of implementation towards the system requirements. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Any more questions, please?
Hello, Sushma. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible? As all auditors are here, I will request one more thing. During audit also, the disposal codes, they have to be very carefully monitored. In which code the industry is disposing the waste. Okay, many of the cases when I do EMS audit, the codes are not maintained and it is disposed of. So a lot of confusions are there regarding the codes. So auditors, please be careful while during the EMS audit, the disposal codes. Hello.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. Hello? Any other questions? Or we can wind up today's session. No more questions, so we move ahead. Thank you so much for the wonderful session taken today, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
ICS is pleased to provide you all its research and development. Below are the books which are available: Integrated Management System, Excellence in Education Management, ISO Made Easy in Gujarati, Marathi, Telugu and Hindi. If you want any of the books, please contact the below. Feedback form. Please register on www.sadgunsang.org and go in your login and give the feedback. Thank you everyone for being a part of today's Sadgun Sang. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.